Hey, Gloucester Township. I'm Joe. That's Keith.
How's it going?
Thanks for checking out the GT Observer's Inside Township Talk podcast.
It's been quite a while since we've done an episode of these, I think.
It's been so long that the equipment wasn't even set up for this whole this whole thing here. So I was trying to think back to the Norcross indictment was the last Inside GT Talk that we actually did.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, so I had all the clips were still staged
was that this
for that
year
one.
Or was that last year? That was last year. 2024.
It might have been last year. He's still not in jail, but they kind of closed it and then reopened it, and
yeah,
that's
I'm not sure exactly where that's at,
but we figured this time. It's been a while since we did an election update.
Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say we did record something. It came out. There was no audio to it. The entire thing was just blank. So we did give you guys an update. We just didn't give it to you though.
2 weeks ago, and that's what it was.
We made the effort, but you get judged on what you actually do, not what you intend.
The setup
right?
for this podcast versus the regular GT Observer podcast where we do council meeting stuff is different. So that it was not done right. So we did a good 45 minutes probably update, and
so we'll recap some of that. Some of it is irrelevant at this point in time because decisions have been rendered, I guess you'd say. But we do have some updates along the way here. It was part of running as an independent, which is what I'm not running under either a Democrat or Republican party, so I'm not on the primary ballot, which really blew people's minds. They did not understand why I was not on there. I did do a video because I got kind of like bombarded with questions of people reaching out saying, "I don't see your name. Are they screwing you over?" And then you have to explain, civics to people. And how that some of that stuff works.
I can't tell you how many people reached out to me and they were like, I can't believe people don't understand elections.
Yeah, well, it's encouraging that people cared enough to start looking into it. They never really did before.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah.
They showed up at the polls for the sewer referendum. We know that. We saw the turnout. For that. It was also a presidential election too, so pretty good turnouts I would imagine, typically on those. But
yeah.
They are getting engaged now, so people are saying, "I don't care what I'm voting for you." So even I told at least 100 and something people, do not write my name in because it does not matter, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And there was at the time, this was another thing too that we did go over about what was an alleged phantom candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Someone named Neil Smith was mailing out. Things to people's houses for Republicans, and there was a lot of questions around that there, and it started from that address that he lives is the same address as someone else who has been known to be an alleged phantom candidate in the past, but several times.
Something to bring up here too, like this decision you made to run as an independent. This is kind of new. In the fact that there's an independent running alone this time. So, like, you probably remember 2021.
Oh, okay.
Sam Sweet, Joe D'Amico ran, right? There was Joe D'Amico was the Republican mayor, and Sam Sweet was the independent mayor candidate. So it was a three-way race.
Right.
You made the decision to run independent, and so what that did was that left the Republican spot open. And of course you met with the Republican committee and said, "Hey, I'd like to run as an independent."
Well, yeah, they had asked me, they reached out to ask if I would run as a Republican, and I politely declined the offer and said if I was going to run, I was going to do it as an independent. And then from there,
and then they agreed, "We're not going to run anybody. We trust you."
We're not going to run anybody. We're going to just
So technically, the committee decides not to put anybody up, but then the Democrats see that spot open after petitions are in for the primary,
Right.
and then they say,
all we got to do is get 100 people to write in a
Yep.
name, and now we added a third party to the race, so we can spoil it still. There's our chance. Well, someone did that. Or maybe Neil Smith was a real person that wanted to run. We don't know this.
Look, his
These
letters,
are all assumptions. But
his letters that went out to Republicans in Gloucester Township, including myself, his letters made it sound like he was this hero Republican guy who felt like they needed representation. And
those people exist, though, so it could have worked.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. There's still a lot of people that are upset because there is not a Republican on the ballot. Right. But my thought was, if this guy was so passionate, and as a committee member, we're always looking for new people to join the Republican club, the Republican committee. To see a name that just out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Never has shown up for anything. All of a sudden, is a guy who's like, oh, I'm a proud Republican, and it's like, and then you look the address up and you go, oh, you're not. No, you're not. You live with somebody who was a Phantom candidate before.
Right. And to explain what that term that we're using there, Phantom candidate, if anybody doesn't know, there's been a long history of this. This is a term used by Philadelphia Inquirer, Politico, some other outlets that have covered this story in the past, where there are people's names who are just put on the ballot to have additional names to draw votes away from whoever the incumbent is or the leader.
Right.
So if you're to create an even worse case for the underdog.
If you're an incumbent that has a big following, but there are people that will vote against you. They don't necessarily going to vote for somebody else in particular.
Right.
They just don't want you there.
Yeah.
You try to add as many people to that race as possible, so that
right. So
all
that
those people that don't like you.
Too many choices, and what are the odds?
Yeah.
I mean, mathematically, it just works out to be. It's going to be a spoiler.
Because people may show up and they don't know who Keith Gibbons is, but they just know that they don't like Dave Mayer.
Right.
And they just see it, and especially on the Republican side, if you just go vote straight down the ballot.
Right. And you say, all right, I hit all the boxes, there we go, we're good. So that was what the plan by someone. I don't know who or what, or maybe not. Again, maybe it was Neil himself really wanted to do this, but it seems a little fishy. I don't know.
So
just being cautious.
The guy
that
that built the Democrat committee trailer is a
that's true.
Proud Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah. He bid. So his business is to build. He builds government kind of vehicles, customized vehicles.
Yeah.
So
at some point in time, he was contracted by the Democrat committee in Gloucester Township to build them a trailer, I believe, or store it. I don't know if he built it or if it just stored it, but it was in Google Earth videos and stuff on his house. If you look it up, it's there. That same trailer still is in existence, at someone's house around here.
Yeah. Also, he had great knowledge of all Republican voters in the area.
Well, so that's the thing. So there's people that are in town. Like you had mentioned, you never heard of Neil Smith as a committee member, right? You would imagine somebody that's politically savvy enough to go and put mailers out and everything else you probably would have heard of. There's people in town that didn't understand how a primary election works, but this guy here was just one of those people that said, "Oh, this is a spot that I can go run." He knew that he just knew that alone. Somehow he knew that just as a everyday person that 100 write-in votes would get him on the ballot. He knew that. Then he knew which political mailing permit house down in Florida to use, and then also how to target specific voters who are registered Republican, also mail-in ballot, voters.
Yeah.
There's people. They have all different names for these different types of voters, like a 4x4, meaning you vote every single election, or a 2x4, 4x. I don't even know what they all are because I don't follow that enough. But there's a very specific way to target specific people.
Several waves of these letters. So if you were a mail-in voter,
so he's using his
got
money
that early
to go do this thing that most people don't know that it was an option to do.
Yeah.
And he was that good at targeting those people, creating the flyer itself to look just like every other political flyer that you get in the mail. That's a pretty I don't know.
Yeah, it's deadly.
There's a lot. I mean, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, usually it's a duck.
To
right?
most of us, it was obvious that he was backed by somebody else.
Right.
But
Oh, actually,
take
there
it for
was
what it
also a
is.
paid for by candidate written so tiny on there. Like he knew to do that he had to do it, but he had to make it so small that it was like not. And he's not. And there's a lot of strange things around it.
At last I checked, which has been a little while, there has been no filings for him so you have to if the
New Jersey ELAC, it's
Yeah.
like what covers your expenses and money flowing into an account.
Yes, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything reported yet. So
Yeah, but so that was one thing that was out there, and the primary has now happened. Neil did not get his 100 signatures, so despite whatever efforts happened there, he didn't get them, and somehow they knew that maybe it wasn't getting traction like they thought. Like maybe I feel like they have a really good polling, in town. Like they kind of have a good pulse.
They're really good at elections. They are really good at elections.
This is what they do. They try to win elections. Well, there is another option, like what I was doing. My petitions, which is signatures saying I want this person to be on the ballot in the general election, you have to get 250 signatures. Now that rule changed during the petitions were needed to get signed. It started off, it was 100 before, and then it changed to be 250 as the minimum signature count. So now they're saying, well, wait a minute, we have another option if this Neil thing doesn't work, and what do we care? Again, I'm assuming that this is what somebody's thinking when they're doing this. I don't know who did this, but it's...
Although it seems obvious.
We're proceeding with caution here when we're talking about this. There's an option that another person could get on the ballot. And what does it matter? The more the better, right? Bring more to the party. If that's the idea behind what's known as a phantom candidate, the more the better. So let's throw an independent option out there also. In case people are not super, going for the Republican story, and they're on this maybe Gibbons has something going on with this independent, thing that they're worried about. So let's put another person. Or again, maybe this guy just decided he's going to run. I think he's a 68-year-old man from Gloucester Township. Decided he's going to run, and he did not circulate a single petition himself. He did sign one of his own petitions, but so these petitions were turned in with 10 minutes to go.
They were circulated, though. Weren't they circulated?
They were circulated by, allegedly, they were allegedly circulated by one person that did 12 of 19 petitions. And somehow he had 12 blank petitions in his possession, but not the one that he just used the day before and only got like 7 signatures on this one. And then he had another one, he had 11, and then I don't know what I did with that one. I'm going to start a new one. I have blanks, you know what I mean? So allegedly this guy circulated 12 out of 19, and then the other people that circulated lived in, I want to say, Marlton, Pennsauken, Vineland, and somewhere else. Oh no, there was one person from Gloucester Township. That person from Gloucester Township's name was actually on the ballot for the primary election to be on the Democrat committee, the Gloucester Township Democrat committee.
That was a familiar name that was
a circulator.
Involved in the Democrat committee. So
you're like, oh, okay.
Think about that. The optics there. People from the Democrat committee are circulating petitions for somebody and signing for somebody other than their own candidate, the mayor.
Right. And in addition to that, there were, don't quote me on this number, but I think it was 17 people who signed the mayor's petition to be on the general election, also signed this other guy's petition.
Yeah.
So you wanted the mayor to be on there on the ballot, but then you also want this other guy to be on.
Yeah.
So either way, you're
some recognizable names multiple, too.
Yeah, some very recognizable. So that was odd, but there's a period of time that anyone can challenge a petition when it's turned in, whether it's for the general election, for the primary election. So that's what happened. I turned my petitions in. The council members turned their petitions in, and at the last minute, I think it was like 10 minutes ago, this petition for Joseph Brocco shows up. I've never heard that name, but other people in town said, "Oh wow, I recognize that name from the past, and I don't, whatever they had to say about it, people started questioning that. We looked at the petitions and said, well, this looks challengeable. That address is Pine Hill, or this address is, here. So that we started going through, and there's a process that you can say, these are the problems that I have with that signature. And there are different categories that it must be, not written by the same hand. Like someone in the house can't fill out everybody's addresses and names and everything else and then just have them sign it. You can't do that. That invalidates the signatures. You can't have duplicates. You can't have, say, this one guy that circulated 12 petitions somehow got back to you and he asked you to sign it again a second time. Those signatures cancel out. They're not. So there's a lot of different things that you could challenge along the way. And that's what we did. We went through and made an entire list of here's all the things to say, all right, there's enough that could potentially be thrown off of here as valid signatures that wouldn't make the 250 threshold, that this candidate wouldn't actually be there. So at the same time, I get this petition, I don't know, a few hours, well, maybe it's the following day, I got an email from the clerk's office saying, here's the challenges to your petitions. I'm like, whoa, I barely even had a chance to sit down. There must have been a team of people going through this. That was a lot. You challenged, I had 400, I started with 409 signatures, right? They went through every one of those and they had all the problems that they had with it. So it was kind of hilarious when I got it. I'm reading through and I'm saying that all these signatures are forged, they claimed. They claimed that the petition that I myself circulated had my own signature on it, which is true, but I forged my own signature. So they claim that I forged my own signature. And I'm like, I don't even understand how I can wrap my head around
how is that possible?
what that even means, but okay. And I'm looking at the rest of them, like, these are all BS claims. Like, you're literally claiming
they didn't even try.
This.
They've just thrown it out.
They just put a bunch of stuff on there. Anyway, a couple things did get thrown out because, again, like if you have different circulators, like you're circulating a petition, I'm circulating one, and you and I just so happen to run into, I don't know, John Doe somewhere, and he's all gung-ho to sign. He doesn't know that he can't sign two petitions, so he signs yours, he signs mine. Later on, when that gets challenged, that signature gets thrown out, unfortunately. But at any rate, I turn in my challenges against the Brocco petitions, and when I go down to the Board of Elections, because again, I don't know all the details of this stuff. I'm just a regular Joe going to try to run for office here and fight for everybody in town. The clerk's office tells me, well, because I had questions about the Neil Smith thing. So let's go back to this guy. It's still not determined that he's not on the ballot. He is on the ballot. They're still counting mail-in ballots. There's still provisional ballots that have to get counted. So he's at 95 votes at this point in time. So I said, not for nothing, Neil Smith, there are two Neil Smiths, and they use the name Junior and Senior in what they're registered. So which Neil Smith is going to get the nomination if it gets 100 votes? And they're like, well, you're not the first person to ask that. So there's been other challenges to this election here. So I don't know. I'm just challenging, what I have here. Well, apparently someone else also asked that question, so that was, sent up the ladder, and I guess attorneys were looking at it. I'm going to not say too much on something here, but there was, there was the other challenges also on Brocco's petition, not just Neil Smith topic. So anyway, come to find out at the last minute, well, not the last minute, it's towards the end of the day yesterday, which would have been the 19th. So, on Juneteenth, there was, I guess, a determination made for the council petitions, my petitions, and Brocco petitions. And the results came in where I think I ended with how many? Do you have that on there?
You ended with 379.
Okay, I had 379, started with 409.
And
the
then you
council had, I think I started with 360 and ended with
347.
347, and then Brocco's petition started with
327 and ended with 244.
Yeah, and 244 is under the threshold, so there potentially, I guess, there could be a challenge around that. But it would be interesting to challenge that. We've done a lot of talking to people who did sign some people that we knew that were on there, and some random people, and
because on top of it, they also didn't really follow. So you have to be if you're the circulator, you sign
Right.
as the circulator. So if I'm the circulator for you, I go to my neighbor's house and I go, would you sign this petition for Keith Gibbons for mayor?
Right.
And then they say yes. I can't ask like my wife or my other neighbor to take that to work with them or something like that and
Right.
ask for because
Right. They need to start their own.
because I'm the circulator. So
And then you have to sit in front of a notary and swear on the back of it,
Yeah.
saying, "I'm the person that got all these signatures. I watched all these people sign this, and now you, as the notary, are watching me sign that I swear that I did this." And that's what I was saying. 12 out of 19 of them were all done by one person, who allegedly had 12 blank petitions.
and what we found out from a little bit of door knocking
Yeah.
was that the person circulating wasn't the person.
Right. It's
So-
when they described the person,
Yeah.
and maybe they used gender, maybe they
Yeah.
weren't the name.
So-
So I don't know. I mean,
So to say that Joe Brocco got 244, making him 6 votes short of 250.
but
That's-
either way,
It's
he's not
really
on.
it's really gracious in his favor because there was no way that was ever going to get through because there was a lot to fight on that one.
Yeah.
There was a lot more to fight on that one. They made it easy to kind of just let it go.
And again, I don't know that this is all over with. I'm pretty sure they could probably appeal it. I don't know if they can, but from what I understand, and I don't know any of this details. This is just hearing other people talk. Camden County is certifying our election earlier than what the state timeline is, I believe. I don't exactly know why or if that's even true, but along with that now, Neil Smith's write-in campaign, if this is the same thing saying everything's done, count it, we're certifying it, he does not have enough write-in votes in order to get onto the ballot. Ironically enough, me telling people not to write me in, I had 133 signatures to his 95.
I had
And
nothing
then-
better to do. I just
Oh, you did.
I
You
wrote
were
it
one
in.
of those people. Okay, thanks. But yeah, and then on the Democrat side also there were 100 signatures. So I did what Neil Smith was trying to do through spending money mailing things out. And I'll tell you, don't do it. So it was a good sign. Again, don't know if it's over. There's a long fight ahead of us here, but I mean, I'm happy so far that everything's going well.
yeah, this could be a fair race.
Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, just candidates against candidates
Well,
without.
let's define fair in that aspect of not having random candidates. in
Yes.
here. It's not fair that
Well,
the incumbent gets to use tax dollars to campaign and appear to
yeah.
be.
I mean, look, the incumbent right now really likes seniors and veterans, and is spending a lot of time now with seniors and veterans. All of a sudden, especially around like the mail-in voting periods and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
there'll be dinners, and I'm sure there'll be like a new recycling video to put them in front of it's
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Where all of a sudden, when you get down to this point in time, and you're like, man, we're really seeing a lot of the mayor.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. People are like, oh, I saw him in downtown Blackwood. He's walking down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, you know how Santa Claus comes around in the fire truck?
right before Christmas.
The mayor is going to soon be sitting on top of the street sweeper,
Yeah.
waving to people.
Yeah.
Just because he can. So
Doing waves.
you're gonna see a lot more of the mayor. You're gonna see a lot more. He's out there with anytime he can get in front of a photo camera.
Yeah.
Or spend.
But yeah, I mean
tax money.
That's the advantage that they have. The hard work of going out, knocking on people's doors, talking to people in town, and fighting all this, dropping letters off of people's houses. It's a lot of work, and when you have a team of people, obviously they needed to get a name on the ballot, or Joe Brocco did. Somehow they hired people from out of oh, here, just come here. Did they do that for free? Somebody came from Vineland?
Yeah, right.
Did they do that for free? An attorney? I think he was also
Yeah.
a 70-year-old attorney. If you look his name up, I'm like, oh.
So they're
He's out
using
and about.
They're going to use taxpayer dollars to campaign, and then they're going to use probably $200,000 worth of campaign funds to run.
I'm sure there'll be more, but yeah.
Against-
Either way, it's just interesting, and I don't know if that is the same guy. Just to clarify, the name I looked up, Lewis Hannon or
No.
Hannah. whatever it was unclear exactly who he was, but it just didn't seem right that every address besides the one person who's on the Democrat committee was from out of town that's circulating these petitions.
Yeah, they got a lot of help. They got a lot of help.
Yeah.
They got a lot of money.
So you guys saw during the sewer referendum sale, kids all over towns, and they were hired to
over
go do
$1 million, over $1 million too.
Yeah, over $1 million to go knock on doors and all that, and that's what we're up against here. So I mean, I appreciate all the donations that have happened so far. Council and myself are going to need donations, so if you can go to the website, which currently is gibbonsformayor.com, there is a link on there for donating.
Find out about you. Find out about your candidates too.
Yeah.
Get a sign. Donate.
Yep. We really appreciate that help. And really, the biggest thing is talking to your neighbors. I mean, more so than money, talk to your neighbors, because word of mouth, talking to people, letting them know that there's going to be a choice, in the future here. That's what's going to help spread the word and help win the election. So again, I appreciate everybody's support so far. It's been
the mayor's doing some barbecues coming up. Are you going to do barbecues too? Like people,
it's really hard to get people to. So that you're right. They do one of the I'm going to air quote tricks that they do is they try to get people that they know and say, hey, hold a barbecue and invite your neighbors from your block. So we'll come over there, shake hands, kiss babies, and all that stuff, and then we'll bowl out of there, and you and your neighbors can have a barbecue. If you try and do that yourself and ask people, they're very reluctant to, because they don't want their address to get out there and then to be known as a supporter. Like this whole election thing here is a good lesson, I feel like, for people, and a good thing. Look, if we're successful and actually win this, it's going to give more people hope that look, you can actually win. I mean, I feel like the sewer sale was a stepping stone to that there, but right now they're afraid that they're gonna be targeted by somebody. I've heard stories of people claiming, I don't know that to be fact, but I know that they're claiming that because ever since they put that sign on, now code enforcement decided they're going, and I don't know if these are true, but I know I have heard hundreds of stories of people being afraid for different reasons. You shouldn't be afraid of your government. No. They're there to work for you guys. Like, to be like, why are we afraid? They can't even.
They should be afraid of you.
Yeah. So I've heard people are afraid to have these. They've been bullied into having these. The barbecues. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, what? Why are we living like this?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
But. Oh, it's gonna be. We got months to go. It's gonna be interesting. We'll be back. Yeah. We'll be back shortly for a couple.
Yeah, we'll do some updates.
Couple
obviously,
more updates.
There'll be other dates for meet and greets and things like that with the council candidates and myself. And if you see us out and about,
if you want to do a meet and greet too, just go on the website. I guess you got a contact form there.
Yep. You can ask questions on there, and see us out. Like I said, say hi. I got people give me the finger too when I go by. This morning I got one.
I saw.
Hi. Well, good morning to you too. But I mean, those people. It's probably that. What's that guy's name online that loves hating me? There's people love hating me. But.
There's a few. There's a lot of fake accounts that don't go back. They don't go back to. Some of them are. Some of them don't even. They misspelled their name.
Right.
They misspelled Gloucester Township, and then when you look up voting records. What are they? You know what? They don't even exist.
Right. Yeah.
They're just fake accounts that are out there. So
don't hold any weight in it. But anyway, all right. I'm pretty much out of updates of myself here. You got any other questions or anything?
Nah, that's it, man. That's let's see how this goes, and it's only gonna get more exciting.
Yeah.
So
the attack mailers are coming, folks. So we'll see what they look like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great. All right. How
all right, folks. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Take care.